What are the three big universal fears and how do we rise above them? We're going to talk about this today. This is Tom Kieran with the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Welcome back, creators. I got a great lesson today. And fear. We've talked about that really everything is love and anything else is the absence of love, which we call fear. And there's all sorts of manifestations of fear. And I want to talk about, notice I said how to rise above these fear, how to rise above it, I didn't say get rid of it. I didn't say suppress it or repress it. It's to rise above it, that it's there, but we're going to rise above it. We're going to move through them. Okay? And so let's talk about this. This is from the Divine Matrix, Gregg Braden. I'll leave a link again. And he talks about this idea that we very rarely get stuck in joy. Right? We normally get stuck in our fears. And all of our fears based on these three universal fears, they pour over into our relationships in life and everything we do in life. So let's talk about them. Now, when I go over these fears, you might say, oh, I don't feel that. Maybe not, but a lot of times these are unconscious. And so we think we're dealing with it, but we're really masking it up, we're covering up, we're cloaking it and with other things we're doing. Let's talk about this right now. The first universal fear is the fear of separation and abandonment. We've talked about separation. Really, the root of this is our separation from God, or that divinity within, that oneness with everything in the universe and everything in between, including the universe, right? That divine matrix that we've talked about connects everything. That God consciousness not only connects everything, it's the container of everything. It is everything, right? So we're connected in this holographic universe. We're one. But when we feel separate, this is where the fear comes from. This is in abandonment, right? This is the idea that there's an outside God, right? This comes back from the traditional Bible, the traditional teachings that God is something outside of us, right? But when you go back to the original ancient teachings that were the biblical edicts of the 4th century, when you come back to that, it goes beyond that. It talks about the oneness. It talks about this sort of Gnostic teachings of this universal oneness. So separation and abandonment. And even when we're born, right, we're separated from our mother. This is the whole idea, but it's bigger than that. It's before we even come into this world, right? It's that separation from that divinity within, thinking that we are separate from that God power, that I amness. And guys, that is really the big fear, right? It's probably the biggest fear of all, right? The separation and abandonment. How does it work? And how does it work into our lives? Well, it could be in relationships, right? It could be a bailing on relationships before someone bails on you, right? You don't want to, and you rationalize it, well, this is really not right for me. But it could be coming from that fear of, I don't want to be abandoned. I don't want to lose this person in my life. So I'm going to act first. I'm going to strike first, right? Could be that, or you hang on to relationships for fear of losing them, right? You grab onto them really tight. There's two ways to do that. Not only relationships, it could be work relationships, romantic relationships, family relationships, anything like that, right? It could be stuff, right? But there's this whole idea of losing, being abandoned, or the separation that works our way in. The second one is low self-worth. Even if you have this outside confidence, I've touched on this in Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland, where he says there's no such thing really as confidence. Because if there's such thing as confidence, it can be shaken. It can be taken down, right, by losing something. So the idea is sort of that it's just this connection to who you really are, this power as a creator, knowing that you choose in your life and that you create your own reality. You settle in that. That's the truth. You settle in the truth of who you are. That's true confidence. That's amazing. That's very powerful. The truth of who you are, right? As a creator, you know you create your own reality. You know that you're one with the universe. You know that even small changes in this holographic universe that creates big changes in the universe, not just in your life, but in the lives of others. There's a tremendous power you have. That's the real power. It's not awards. It's not people recognizing it. It's not necessarily job promotions or becoming president of the United States. Whatever it is, you're going to be president of a country. That's not the real power. The real power is that inside power, that power that you are a creator at one with the universe. So this feeling of self-worth is just not good enough. Right? I'm not working hard enough. I'm not getting recognized. My business is not going. I'm not making as many. My business is not as profitable as it was the year before. Oh, and then there can be blame, right? There can be guilt. There can be, you blame yourself, you blame others, you blame the economy, you blame COVID-19, whatever it is. You start this not good enough scenario. And you can say, well, I don't feel that, but be truthful to yourself, because a lot of times it's unconscious, and it comes across of a lot of things. We cover it up, right, by sort of some of these addictive habits. I'm not talking addict like smoking and stuff, but it could be entertainment, out with friends a lot. It's good to go out with friends, but if it becomes an addiction, if it becomes something that's covering up, not feeling good about yourself, not feeling connected. Again, this comes from that separate, low self-esteem comes from not being connected to that divinity within. Because if you know your power, if you know who you really are, then how could you possibly not feel good enough? How could God not feel good enough? How could God feel separated when God is everything? And you are God. You are that I amness. This is the idea, right? And so this is not good enough. And then a lot of this is projected on others, right? You think others are they're not good enough. They should change their behaviors. They should agree with you, right? Again, this is a projection of what you're feeling inside, yeah? The third big universal fear is surrender and trust, that we just don't trust. We don't surrender ourselves to this bigger picture, to this divinity inside. We don't trust the universe. If someone gets sick, someone close to you dies, we start venting, blaming God, blaming the universe, and saying it's not safe, right? We see the outside world's filled. If you watch the morning news or the evening news, or watch the news anytime during the day these days, you see it. It's chaos and mayhem that they're reporting, right? So how do we move to a position of trust in spite of that? Remember, you paint your own world. You established a relationship to your world. Whatever you put your awareness on is what you create in your reality. What you create in your layer. You're responsible for your layer of the world. And when you do that, remember, if it's a holographic universe, it affects every other part of the hologram, right? Because the hologram, no matter how you dice it up, it's still whole. So you affect the whole by doing your part, by getting into your power, by surrendering to that and trusting the universe has it all figured out. Remember, how do you get over all of these three big fears, and really any fear? You can't resist it, right? What resists persists. We got this from Conversations with God in some of our earlier videos. We'll talk more about Conversations with God. Neil Donald Walsh had some great stuff there. What you look at disappears. What does that mean? Well, that means that once you look at it and know that it exists, you can rise above it. It might still be there if you want to start going down there to deal with it, or do you want to rise above it? Look at it, understand it, accept it, and then move on and make a new choice. Everything in the universe is about a new choice, choosing what you want to attract and what you want to create in your life. That's the power that you have, right? Letting go of your negative beliefs about what or who you should be in exchange for a greater possibility of what you may become. This comes from Gregg Braden's book, Divine Matrix. I love this. Not just negative beliefs, right? Because you might say, well, I don't really have nothing. I don't want to really let go of anything in my life. It's all positive. Is it? Remember, we're not talking about just negative, limiting any type of limiting belief that's limiting your potential to be, do, or have whatever you want in the world, right? If you're collapsing the wave and say, well, this is good enough, this is good enough, this is where I am in life is good enough, I'm happy enough, right? You're settling. This is a limiting belief. You're limiting yourself. You're collapsing the wave of the quantum wave of possibilities, where what you could do is let go of any of these beliefs and then exchange it for the greater possibility of what you could become. Imagine if you didn't have any of these limiting beliefs or negative factors. You get to choose what's included in your experience. That's the power you have. Yeah? We're going to hit this more. This is Tom Karen with the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and comment and share our videos. That's how we get our message out, yeah? Until next time, this is Tom. See you soon.